Hey there, everybody. Brad Geiger here with a quick show note. David and I were overjoyed to be able to record this episode of Comic Lab with a man who is a longtime good friend of ours, Scott Kurtz. This is a show we've wanted to do for a long time, and we were thrilled that it was finally happening. However, at the end of the recording session, we noted that there was a little something wonky going on with David's microphone. And we were faced with the unfortunate decision of, do we try to re-record that session and try to recapture some of those magic moments, or do we do the best with what we had captured? Luckily, we had audio engineer Matt Woodard on our side, and he did a Herculean job of mitigating that sound distortion that had been captured. However, you will still notice just a little difference between Dave's usual dulcet melodic voice and the recording in this episode. That notwithstanding, I think this is one of the best episodes we've done, and I am thrilled to be able to present to you a Comic Lab featuring Scott Kurtz.
I met Abraham Ben Ruby, who was on a TV show in college called Parker Lewis Can't Lose. I was in college, at least.
I remember that. That was kind of like a
Kubiak.
Ferris Bueller type story, right?
Yeah. It was like, the Ferris Bueller show sucks, so we'll make a good Ferris Bueller show.
Yeah.
But he was also on ER, and he was in my favorite Western, and so I was like, oh my God, it's Kubiak. And Corey's like, who? And I'm like, oh, he's on this show in college that we loved, and he was on ER, and he's in my favorite Western, and I gotta go say hi. So I went over, and I introduced myself, and he's like, oh, thank you. And I'm like, oh, I'm such a big fan, and you'll always be Kubiak, and I'm sorry if you don't like hearing that. And he's like, no, we had so much fun. And he's like, what are you here for? And I told him, he's like, oh, you're Scott Kurtz? Oh my God. You were like right there at the beginning of Webcomics, like, you're a big deal. And
wow.
Corey's like, uh-oh. And I was like, no, this isn't happening. So we were hanging around, and you know, Abraham's like, oh, what else are you working on? I want to come on your podcast. Let's play D&D. Let's just play. And I'm like, well, we're going to start playing online. You should play with us. He's like, yeah, I'm in. And so we're sitting there watching, we're in the green room, we're watching Joe and his personal trainer, Joe Manganiello, and this wrestler called The Big Show. Yeah. And they're all playing D&D. They're all these big bodybuilder types. And Abraham goes, when did D&D players get so good looking? And I said, who's good looking on that stage? And he's like, they're all really good looking. Look, Joe's good looking. I go, they're all built, but are they good looking? He goes, Joe's good looking. I go, is he? Or do you keep thinking about his wife and going, God, Joe must be good looking? Because if Joe's wife was interested in me, you'd think, Scott's good looking. And I'm not.
Scott's a babe.
Wow. Scott's in good shape.
Now, backtrack a little bit. Where were you that you were taping and everything? What event was this?
So Dungeons and Dragons parent company, Wizards of the Coast, used to pay tens of thousands of dollars for me and my friends to go on stage and pretend to be D&D people. And then they got tired of spending all that money on one event with one group and decided to be smart about it. And they started having these yearly streaming events where they would have a ton of different, basically D&D shows come and perform live. And what they did this year is they rented it. The first year they did it, last year they did it in Seattle, but this year they did it in LA, and they rented a studio lot, and they built a set. Like, they built the town of Waterdeep, like a movie set of a medieval town square. And that's where they played the game.
Wait. And were you physically walking through the set? Like, and now we're going to go into the pub.
Yeah, there was a tavern, there was a blacksmith, there were shops, and there were some partners of WotC there. And each of the shops was one of the partners. So there's a video game company called Codename Entertainment in Canada, and they make a Dungeons & Dragons video game called Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms. and Binwin is going to be added to that game. They're putting Binwin in the game.
Ooh.
Oh, that's super fun.
Yeah,
That's
so
gonna be
they asked
really
if I would
exciting.
come out, and because so people could watch the stream at home, and they had all these celebrities playing D&D, but if you paid, you could come for the day in LA, get a tour of the set, and then watch them play D&D live. So when you got a tour of the set, they had all these extras walking around pretending they were citizens of Waterdeep. And the tavern actually sold booze.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you could like walk around the set, pretend you were in Waterdeep, see the different booths, get some beer, and then a fight would break out on the street, like a real sword fight.
Oh, wow.
Because they had some of the actors were people that did the live, fighting with real swords. So like everyone would be hanging out. They'd have kind of meandered around the booth like it's a convention. But instead of cosplayers or actors pretending to be actual people in medieval times. And then all of a sudden someone would be like, give me your weapon. He's like, take it from me. And then there'd be a fight. Yeah, it was cool. They did that like...
This is just like the food court. It was just like the food court at Comic-Con, basically.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So yeah, I got to spend a couple days in LA doing that. That was pretty fun. And then there's like a bunch of people that are kind of in the Hollywood, I guess, LA scene that love D&D. And so like Matthew Lillard was there, and Deborah Ann Wall from True Blood and Daredevil was there, and Joe was there. Sam Witwer, who was in The Mist.
Oh, who also does the voice of
Yeah,
Maul,
he was
right?
just in Solo. Oops, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Sam was there. But what's funny is, so Joe was there because he's a fan. He likes to play. But he has a clothing line. Deborah Ann Wall was there because she loves to play. Matthew Lillard's there because he runs a company that prints D&D stuff. And Whitwer was there because he's printing a book about the history of D&D. Like, they are all making things. They're not just there as fans.
Right, they're working it.
Yeah, they're all, like, making stuff.
That's really smart.
It's crazy. When I introduced myself to Sam, he was just really, really excited about his book. I'm like, so you're doing an art book? He goes, no, it's not just an art book. It's the whole history of D&D. I mean, it's the whole history. It's, how it got started and who was involved. And
That's a great idea, though.
like, they're super into it.
That's super cool.
Yeah, it was a little surreal. It's kind of weird.
So I got to tell you something funny about, you saw Joe's trainer and you saw the size of his arms, right?
Yes, I did.
So for my 40th birthday, we were doing a game night at my house, and Joe goes, hey, I got your birthday gift. And I go, oh, cool. What's that? And he goes, I got your training sessions with my trainer. And I went, oh, no. Oh, no, I don't want this. I don't want this. So this was my 40th birthday, right? And so a year and a half passed. Oh, maybe, no, it was 2 years passed, and my birthday was coming up. He goes, hey, you're turning 42, right? And I go, yeah. He goes, have you taken up that trainer thing that I got you with my trainer? I was like, no, I need to get in shape before I go get in shape. I can't go to this guy in the shape that I'm in. He's going to destroy me. And he goes, this is the whole point of having a trainer. Just go. And I was so afraid to go. And first of all, he's a really nice guy and really, really creative, really funny, loves sci-fi. But he's also like the I think it's the 40 and up champion on CrossFit. So like he competes nationally and internationally in CrossFit, and he's amazing. Like there's not a single ounce of fat on him. It's like the muscles have muscles. And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to do a little session. He goes, all right, we're going to start it slow today. And so we do a CrossFit session. And he's like, all right, well, that was pretty good for your first time we went super light. I was like, haha, yep, super light. I go out to the parking lot and proceed to barf into a trash bag in my car. That's how my first session went.
Did you ever do a second?
I was like, all right, great. Handshake. Thanks so much. Yeah, that was really fun. I'm just gonna go barf in my car real quick.
Yeah, no, man. He's crazy.
Now, here's the question. Do you think you pulled one over on him or not?
Oh God, no! I was so, you know how like when someone's like, all right, do a squat, do a wall sit and hold it for 2 minutes, right? And your entire body is just quivering because it's like, dear God, let me do anything other than this wall sit.
Yeah.
And so he was, I'm not fooling anybody.
Jesus.
Wow.
Did you go back to him?
I did, and so Gloria was laughing because I I started training with his wife, who's also ridiculously in shape, and because those were the easier sessions. He's like, "Why don't you start off with like some easier sessions, right?" And you're in for a bad workout when I started to pre-plan where I was going to barf. Like I would have a trash can in my car.
You need an exit strategy.
Yeah, well, I would have a trash can in my car between the two front seats, but then I didn't want to clean out the trash can, so I would put a sealed plastic bag in the trash can. So then when I got home, I could just take the trash bag and just throw it right in the trash can.
Oh my God.
Because I was planning ahead on my barfing. That's the way I worked at.
Oh my God.
By the way, unless you think this is in any way bragging that I did CrossFit, I'm not doing it now, and I'm up 30 pounds. So there we go. There's the capstone to that story.
Oh my God!
Holy moly!
So Joe, if you're listening, my birthday's coming up.
Yeah, and you know what he wants for his birthday?
Jesus,
Popcorn or the Monks Club.
Well, how do you survive like 40th birthdays are already tenuous to begin with, and when your friend Joe, who is Joe, for your 40th buys you a personal trainer, how do you not just go in the backyard and dig a grave and bury yourself?
Well, just to remind you both, I waited 2 years to do this thing. Like 2 years is not a short amount of time. It's not like I didn't know where the gift certificate was. It was right there in my front drawer. I knew where it was.
And he's brought it up to you now. So now it's like if you don't, then you're not using his birthday gift, which is an insult. So you've got that. You got to use it. What was even
worse is when at near my 42nd birthday, when he asked me about it again, I was at his house and his trainer was standing right in front of me, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll be there Monday. Yep, Monday morning." Because once you meet the guy and he's nice, you can't be insulting and not go. You've got to do it. So I'm like, all right, yep, I'm already scheduled. I'm scheduling on my phone right now. Okay, all scheduled up.
Here it is.
Got to be there Monday.
Woof. Did you eat anything before working out?
My pride, yes. I ate my pride.
Woof.
Did I eat anything? I mean, no. The ideal. I think they told me. I think they told me ahead of time, Brad. Just eat like 5 nuts. Like don't eat but drink a lot of water.
Yeah.
But you know, when you're truly working out, your body finds a way to throw up, even if it doesn't have anything to throw up. It's like, you know what? How about that sandwich we had 6 weeks ago? We'll find here it is over by your spleen.
That's still floating around down there.
Yeah. We'll make that work. All right, send that up, boys. Send that up. The boys doing some CrossFit.
You know what's funny is that there was a common occurrence for us growing up because we lived in Texas where the sun was about 10 feet from the ground. And what would happen is in the fall, when school would start, despite the fact that it was September, it was still boiling hot.
Yeah.
And at some point, the PE teacher would just have you running laps or something. And you would just, pull over and just start vomiting.
Wow.
Oh, jeez. Oh. What? How do you even do school in that temperature? Like, what do you do? Let's go outside and lie on the ground, Jimmy. All right, sounds fun.
We're gonna sizzle.
The worst part was so keep in mind, and it's between the end of school and the beginning of school, that whole summertime, it was hot. So it was hot when school ended, and it was hot when school started, and there was a reprieve during the winter break. But the dress code for our school was no shorts. And that never made sense to me. So
really,
you'd be in school in long pants and it's 100 degrees outside. And my high school was an open campus. So it wasn't like, well, just get me into the building and I'll cool off and then I'll be fine. You'd have to at some point walk outside and run to your next class at our high school.
This sounds like a Charles Dickens character is running the school. Like, the children must wear scarves to every class.
Yeah, it was really bad. I hate it.
Why would you do that to kids though? What?
I don't know. I tried to get my mom involved to make a big deal out of it because we were like having a discussion with teachers about it. She's like, that really doesn't make a lot of sense. My art teacher. I'm like, why? Kids are throwing up because it's so hot outside and we're all wearing pants. You'd think that someone up in the upper echelon of of school administration would say, we should let these kids wear shorts, you know?
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, you should have your parents bring it up at a, PTA meeting or something. And I went home and told my mother, and my mom was like, I have way too much going on to worry. Just do what you're supposed to do.
Don't bother me with your shorts. I got stuff going on here.
Parenting equivalent of get your shit together. I ain't got time for this.
My dad gave me some equivalent of you don't go to school. You go to school to do what they tell you to do, and that's how you learn how to live in the real world or something like that.
Wow.
One of my favorite things about Bermuda as a country is, have you ever seen it when Bermuda diplomats get together and they're wearing the Bermuda shorts, but they've got long dark socks and dress shoes on?
They all look like they're on vacation.
Yeah, do a quick Google search because it looks like party downstairs, but business up top. Like, just look up Bermuda and, I don't know, diplomat. I'm gonna look it up right now. I'm gonna see if I can find
diplomat.
this. Like, it's so funny when you see them get together and like, we've done the communique, and the camera pans down and they're all in shorts with dark socks. It's the funniest thing.
I can't find it.
They're wearing the official shorts
now,
of their country land.
Okay, so here's my critique about Bermuda. Like, if you're gonna go shorts, go whole hog. Like, get out some flip flops. Like, what are you doing with the dark socks and the dress shoes?
They're not savages.
Like, but
They're still sophisticates.
But who are you scoring?
I don't know.
Scott, who are you scoring points with the dark socks? Like, the other guy's like, no, Jim came in flip flops today. He's fired. Well,
no, he's fired. Well, that's a lot like comics.
Oh my God! Hold on. I was just gonna say we're 16 minutes in. At some point, Dave, you've got to say hi, everybody.
All right, then I will say hi, everybody, and welcome to Comic Lab, the show about making comics
and making a living from comics. I'm Brad Geiger, editor of Webcomics.com and cartoonist of Evil Inc.
And I'm Dave Kellett, cartoonist of Drive and Sheldon and co-director of Stripped.
And this week's Hour of Comics Advice is made possible by your support at patreon.com/comiclab. And although I have no doubt that voice needs no introduction, I am going to introduce it anyway. We are really thrilled to be welcomed by and welcoming Scott Kurtz, our... I fumbled it right at the end. Scott, welcome to Comic Lab.
Hey, how's it going? I welcome you to your own podcast.
I love how he says, like, I know this voice needs no
everybody.
introduction, but I'm not going to say anything. It's Scott. Hey, it's Scott, everybody.
Well,
but like Scott, for a second there, he was like, I'm going to give the full introduction about PvP and Table Titans and all the things you have, but now I'm going to bail out. It's just Scott. It's Scott, everybody.
Well, I tripped up over welcoming and being welcomed by, and then everything went off the rails.
I think you did lovely, Brad. Everyone here agrees you did great.
Next time you do the introduction.
Brad, your welcome was the equivalent of Bermuda shorts on a suit. That's what that was. Well, gentlemen.
Oh man.
It's like getting the band back together.
Yeah.
I know.
It's been, how many years ago did we end Webcomics Weekly? Anybody know? Anybody got a fun read on that one?
Good question. I'd have to look it up, but it may have been almost 10 years by now.
Oh my God, really?
Has it been 10 years since the last time we did a Webcomics Weekly?
Oh, well, I mean, there's those 3 that we did for the Kickstarter for the Webcomics Handbook.
That's true.
But they were kind of ancillary. I don't know that you truly count them. And that was in 2014. And the last one that we did, the official last one we did was called Reboot.
That worked out.
And it was, according to what I'm looking at here, it was November 27th, 2012.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, so six years ago.
The march of time waits for no one. Dang, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, biscuits. Biscuits. That's
Biscuits.
And how long ago did we write How to Make Webcomics?
Oh my gosh.
That was 10 years ago. That, because I remember mentioning somewhere that it was the 10-year anniversary of that book this year. That was 2008.
Well, so I still have 4 or 5 copies in my warehouse. Do you guys know if Image is still actively selling that book? I actually don't know.
I don't know that they're actively selling it. Because if you go to Amazon, because I did check this out recently. I'm just going to check it while I'm talking. If you go to Amazon, the only way to buy it is through third-party buyers. Last I checked.
I think it's out of print. Yeah.
Well, I don't know how that's possible. All our data about the internet before Twitter and before Instagram and before
yeah, before Facebook.
No one. Oh, that book is still so relevant.
I've got two or three books. I've got 2 or 3 boxes full of those books of the before we caught all the typographical errors. I've got all the ones that say unshark mask and all kinds of stuff like that. Those are the real collector's items.
And Scott, every winter, every Philly winter, he starts shredding them and stuffing them around the windows. Little extra insulation, mother.
He's just burning them for heat.
Come around, children. We're going to warm our hands to Unshark Mask.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and the only sellers are like third-party sellers.
Oh, well, there we go. That does it.
Yeah.
Nail in the coffin for How to Make Webcomics, everybody. We'll pour one out for How to Make Webcomics.
Run.
Oh. It was a great run.
It's all ending. Well, actually, you know what? That raises a question that I wanted to ask both of you because I thought this would be fun for today's show.
Yeah.
Speaking of ending, what is for both of you? You're both now well ensconced in your career. Everything's going right. But what is the single greatest goal that you have yet to accomplish in your cartooning?
Ooh, the single greatest. I've got one. Do you want to go first, Scott?
No, I got to think about this. Go ahead.
I know exactly what my answer is. The single greatest goal that I haven't achieved yet is making it. And here's what I mean. I've always had a goal of
you better get busy, buddy.
Making it in terms of I'm not worried about what's going to happen next month, right? Being secure, being like successful in that I can exhale. And I've had.
Hold on a second.
Go ahead.
I gotta go. Patreon. Brad Geiger.
I do like, Brad, that you basically just said that you're waiting to exhale, though.
Yes. Exactly.
Brad, you're making like $8,000 a month drawing tits. Take a breath.
Listen, last year I had the best year I ever had, even when I was doing a day job and comics and ads were hitting and everything. I'm still waiting to get to the point where I'm not worried about like what happens if Patreon next month decides that it's going to pull the rug on not safe for work creators. What's going to happen?
Well, okay, so now this raises the question. Given what Scott just said, do you think that, look at your personality, is there ever going to be a point where you truly exhale, or are you always going to be worried?
I honestly don't know. But when I was young, when I started out, I thought I would get there. I thought that was an achievable goal. And I don't know that it is. And so that's a goal that I don't know that I'm ever going to achieve.
Have you ever been handed a really small dog and it's just shaking and you're like, oh, this poor piece of shit?
What are you trying to say?
What an existence. It's just like terrified of existing. Come on, Brad. Things are okay.
Brad actively wetting himself as he records this podcast, just actively.
And listen. I am the calm one, especially if you take a look through Patreon right now, or look through Twitter right now. Patreon has enforced some of its existing rules on not safe for work artists and told them, you can't do certain things, like you can't link outwardly to public not safe for work content. You can't have publicly available NSFW on your Patreon page. Kind of common sense stuff like that. That's always been in the rules, but people are losing their shit over it. They're out there, going nuts. I'm out of this group of people. I'm the calm one, and that's saying a lot.
Well, do you think? Brad, let me ask you this. Do you think that, like, on any porn set in America, anywhere, I'll even say the world, do you think on the set of any pornography, in between takes, there's a chick with her boobs flopping out, and a dude walks up with his dong flopping out and sits on the director's chair next to her, and it's like, oh man, right? Pornography. And she's like, woof. And then some guy runs up and goes, what if nobody wants to buy this tomorrow? Like, that's never happened.
Well, yeah, that is true.
You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is, yeah, Patreon's going to go away, one day.
Yeah.
But the good news is you've established an audience, Brad, and they want your stuff. So now that you've done that, you can breathe a sigh of relief, because maybe this delivery system will go away, but they're not going to stop wanting the content, and they'll find a way to support you on that. And until you hear people in the pornography business going, this is a real threat to our industry,
yeah,
I wouldn't worry about it.
Well, I take any aspect of your cartooning away from it. Don't you think, Brad, that at this point it's just because it's been 20 years of constantly struggling that you're afraid that it's going to ever be that way? Isn't that the fear?
Maybe. That's in other words, that fear is habitual. That I've kind of trained myself to fear year after year.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you know what? I need to drink water today. I need to do that for the next 20 years. And then eventually you go, oh, I should keep drinking water. Like, you've now said, like, oh, I need to worry about bills for 20 years. And so even when it's starting to be okay, you're like, no, got to keep worried about that.
Yeah, maybe there is a little bit of that.
Or, Brad, maybe you've trained yourself to believe that it's worrying about it that's keeping it going.
Yes, that's a good point.
Yeah, listen, that's probably truer than I care to admit. That hits a little close to home.
If I stop worrying about this, that's when the whole thing's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said about, because I always say to Angie, like, every time I'm a little bit scared about what's happening next is when we take our next big step. Every time I'm scared, that's when we take our next big step. And so I'm a little bit scared, but that's not a bad thing. There's a little bit of health to feeling that and being aware of it, but I guess I'm lucky. So, Brad, when I first started out during the .com boom, I got to be in on some of that pyramid scheme back in the late 90s.
That sweet VC money.
Yeah, that VC money. And I went to a buddy who was doing something similar, except instead of doing webcomics, he was doing video game news, and he had a whole suite of sites, and he was making like $25,000 a month from all these websites. And I'm like, this can't keep up, can it? He's like, oh no, it's all going to implode. And I'm like, oh no, what are we going to do? And he's like, well, I'm going to be effed, because I don't make anything, because no one's going to be like, I need that video game news, but you make something people care about, so you'll be okay. And that I'm very lucky in that he kind of instilled that in me. He was like, you make something people want that they care about, so they'll find a way to support you. And that's always held true. So I wish I could impart that on you, Brad.
I need closure, though, on this guy's life. Is he working at Best Buy now, or what's he doing?
No, he is the #1 travel blogger in the world. Is.
What's great though is that he was making things. I mean, that's the thing. Like he knew how to create.
He did. Well, I mean, he had already Gary at the time had built a internet company out of college, sold it, and I don't know if he was independently wealthy, but he was not hurting when he started Stomped. And then that whole thing happened. And then after that, he sold his place and just traveled. And then kind of reinvented travel blogging. And now he does a thing called Everything Everywhere. .com.
Wow.
But yeah, he's kind of reinvented the travel blog. So he does very well for himself. He's writing a book right now, I think.
That's amazing. So, but Brad, to get back to your point, so the your greatest goal in cartooning is basically to stop being an anxious person.
Yeah,
is that a good way to look at it?
That's maybe the best way to phrase it up. Yeah, yeah. I chose the wrong career to have that particular goal for.
Your greatest goal in cartooning is finally accepting that you succeeded.
Maybe not accepting, but realizing.
Oh, wait a minute. I have a different angle on this. Brad, do you think you can't accept that you've quote unquote made it because making it now looks so different than what you imagined it would be as a kid?
It does look different.
David.
I don't know. You know what?
Holy shit.
So, okay, let's talk about Webcomics Weekly. We used to talk about creators' guilt, success, the guilt that certain artists would feel over being successful. And I used to that whole idea of feeling guilt over your success really bothered me. I'm like, that's the dumbest thing in the world. And what you guys are saying back to me is that what I'm saying sounds an awful lot like that. And that makes me very upset with myself.
But what Dave is saying, we need a couch. You need to lay down, Brad. What he's saying, though, is that the win condition that you aimed for when you were very young doesn't exist anymore. So you can literally not reach it.
Well,
and you have not redefined the win condition for yourself yet. So you're never going to feel like you've reached that goal.
Right.
That's wow.
Right.
Yeah. That's
you're never going to be a syndicated cartoonist.
Right. Yeah.
And you're never going to be in 500 newspapers, and you're never going to win a Reuben because none of those conditions exist anymore for what success is, you know?
Right.
And you're never going to be on a talk show panel with Charles Schultz, also because Charles Schultz is dead. That's another reason. So
that's also true. He did die.
Let's just all get it out of the way of everything that we can't achieve in our life. That's another one.
Yeah.
So, Brad, no, I listen. As much as Scott and I are kind of joking about it, I think we both appreciate where you're coming from on this. Is that we couldn't have gotten to where we got to without fear. Like as Scott admitted, I got fear, you got fear, we all got fear.
Yeah.
But like that's not a goal per se. That can't be your goal. Like what is your cartooning thing you want to achieve before you die? Like you go into the grave and you're like, I did X.
Oh.
What is that still?
Well, hold on. Let's come back around because we've talked an awful lot about me. And before we do that, and also to let me think about that for a little bit, let's do because I'm going to have to really reassess here. So you guys have both given me a lot to think about. Let's go to one of your other goals. Let's go to one of your goals.
Okay, so Brad, I've got two answers for this, and one of them is the egotistical question, and one of them is like the pure artist answer. Or sorry, the egotistical answer, and one of them is the pure artist answer.
Okay.
And so you get to pick which one I go first with.
I want to hear egotism first, always.
All right, the egotism first is all the awards.
Yes.
That's just me being honest. That's me at my smallest. Yeah. That's what I want. Is that I want all the awards. Like.
That's not small. I'm tired of people thinking that's small.
If at the end of my days I was able to win one or two of what I would consider the big career awards for cartooning, that would feel really fun. I think I'd be like, it's okay to go now. I can let go. You know, that kind of thing.
I've already kind of come to peace with the fact that the only way I'm going to win one of those awards is if I live really, really long and they give me one of those "You Haven't Died Yet" awards.
I'll take it. I'll take the "You Haven't Died Yet" award.
Yeah.
I'm happy to have a bunch of 20, 30, and 40-year-old cartoonists go, and to 85-year-old Dave Kellett for still cartooning. Here's his double Reuben, Eisner, and Harvey award, or triple award. So yeah, so that's the egotistical side of me, is that I would like to, at the end of my days, have work, but that also implies that there's work that I was super proud of, and it would mean a lot to have won an award for it. You know?
Yeah. Not just win the award, but that means that you did good work.
Yeah, like I don't know what this says about me at the moment, but. If I never won a big award for Sheldon, I'd be okay with that. But if when Drive ended, there was no acknowledgement of it, and no one ever didn't get nominated for anything when it was all wrapped up, I'd be a little sad about that. I think that one I would like to have a little bit of good feedback from the world. But if it doesn't happen, so be it. But that's the one where, in my egotism, I would like to have an award for, I guess. And then, so then the pure artist goal is, if I can just keep doing this until I'm dying, great.
Yeah.
Like if I don't have to take a second job ever, that would be great. I would consider that a great goal. So that's the more pure one, and then the more egotistical one is I want all the awards. So that's my answer to that.
This is
so
bringing
funny.
back another big Webcomics Weekly flashback. I remember you saying that back in Webcomics Weekly, you said that one of your goals was to die at your drawing desk.
Oh, did I say that?
I remember you saying that. Is
So
that
who-
That's
still?
how Alex Toth went.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Is
how
that
didn't Kirby, wasn't he drawing when he died? Or no, am I misremembering that?
I don't know, but Alex Toth died at his table. They found Alex Toth at his table.
And for lack of a better description, Schultz kind of died at his table in the sense that when that strip ended, he
Yeah.
kind of was like, all right, well, that's
died.
it, you know?
I still remember when his final Sunday comic was hitting people's doorsteps. That at that same time we were learning that he had died. I mean, he died when his final comic came out.
Yeah. Well, that to me makes total sense in regards to his personality, because I don't know what your guys' situation is with grandparents, but have you ever had it when a grandparent passes and then, God rest him, the next one goes like 6 months later just out of heartbreak?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how Schultz went. He knew that last comic was going, and then he just kind of a little bit let it go and died of heartbreak, you know. And
It's possible. It's very, very possible. You know, I got to tell you, Dave, I really feel both of your choices, because I can't tell you how many people in places of advisory roles in my life have told me not to give a shit about awards. But fuck you. Of course you give a shit about awards, because you want to be recognized for your work.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to be recognized for your work by the people that could most get your work, and those are your peers. So when you do get an industry award, it means something. And I'm gonna tell you something that's gonna piss you off. I'm not really satisfied with my Eisner. I'm still kind of pissed about my Eisner. I don't feel like it counts.
well, no, wait a minute. I'm not pissed off, but I want to know more. Explain this to me. What?
Okay, so I submitted PvP for an Eisner for Best Humor Comic in 2004, and I was nominated. Okay. I submitted it. I said, I think this is really funny stuff, and I think it's worthy of being nominated for Best Humor Comic. And they nominated me, and I lost to Kyle Baker. Well, we all lost to Kyle Baker because he did Plastic Man that year.
Yeah.
And so he won Best Humor Comic, and I was 100% satisfied. I was recognized by my peers. They nominated me. I lost to a superior cartoonist, and I was like, wow, what a night, right? Like I did not walk away with an Eisner. And then 2 years later, I get a call from, I think it might have been Scott McCloud or maybe Steve Connolly, and they were discussing this webcomics Eisner, and I'm like, why do that? Like, why does it need to be a special award, you know? And they were talking about how, well, you know, comic strips won't be eligible, they have to be long form comics. And I'm like, well, I don't like that either. And so all of a sudden I'm starting getting congratulations in 2006 because I've been nominated for the webcomic Eisner, and I'm like, and a lot of people were pissed off because PvP did not meet the requirements of that category. It was not a long form comic.
Oh, right. Long form.
Yeah. Because at the time you had to be a long form comic. And so I called Jackie Estrada, who ran the awards, and I'm like, what the fuck? I did not submit PvP for this award. I don't agree with the award. People are mad at me. Why am I nominated? And she's like, I'm sorry if this upsets Jackie, but she's like, I'm really not supposed to tell you, but the judges were sitting around looking at all the nominees, and someone's like, why isn't PvP in here? And Jackie said, well, he's, you know, Scott's doesn't like the concept of the award, and he wouldn't qualify anyway. And the judges were like, yeah, that's bullshit. PvP should be in here. And they nominated me. And I won it that year, and I'm still pissed about it. I felt it was like a gimme.
I only have one thing to say about that.
I felt it was a fucking gimme, and I don't.
My only thought there is I want everyone to know that I disagree with that award, and I really never want to be nominated for that award.
You know what, Brad? I hear you, and I would like to echo that I also disagree with all the versions of the Eisners, and I never want to be nominated, Jackie, for those awards, Jackie.
You guys are jerks, but this Eisner says Best Digital Comic, and it does not say Best Humor Comic, and I'm still pissed about it.
No, I get
Wow.
that.
No, I
get that
totally get that.
because for you, it's almost like a version of a best participation award for an Eisner. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it's a little pat on the head. Welcome to the like next year you can be at the adults table. Here's the kids table.
Right.
I don't like it.
So I want to amend my answer because I'm realizing that in past shows, no, because this is true.
Yeah.
On any given year, I don't necessarily want or need an award. Like Brad, we talked about before, like for an hour you look at the Eisners and you go, dang it, and you're mad, and then you go, oh well, and you go back to life.
Yeah.
Like on any individual year, I don't want an Eisner, but I want those big awards before I die. Does that make sense? That like on any individual year, I don't care, but I want them sometime before I'm 80.
Sometime, yeah. It just has to happen sometime. Not necessarily this year or next year, but at some point, it would be nice to know you hit that peak.
Yeah, like at some point before I'm cold and in the grave, and they're like, well, you know what? Here's a soccer trophy for you, David. And I go, oh, great. And then I go home.
Is there one that would weight more in your mind over the others?
He wants the Reuben.
Well, we've talked about this before. Listen. I'm going to be in my most honest here. I want both.
Yeah.
I would like a Reuben and an Eisner eventually at some point. I'm now 43. I figure I got maybe 25 more good years of cartooning in me. Mm-hmm. I can maybe figure out a way to do. I don't know. I don't know that I'll ever do it. Maybe I've reached my peak and I'm already going downhill. I don't know. But if I'm being honest about it, I would like both. Is the truth. Do I need both? No. Do I need one? No. But I would like both. So that's my answer to that. How about you guys? What would you rather have? Eisner's probably both of you?
No, I'd rather have the Eisner than the Reuben. But that's only because I grew up aware of the Eisner. I didn't really know about the Reuben until later.
So here's an interesting fun fact. I didn't know about either of them until I was well into my 20s.
Huh.
In fact, I remember the year that you were nominated for the Eisner, my genuine reaction was, oh, what's that? Like, I didn't know what it was.
Really?
And I'm not saying this in it's more of a knock on me than anything else. I thought I knew a lot about cartooning, and I didn't know what the awards were in the field. You know?
Yeah, why would you know?
I don't know that a 20-year-old knows that kind of stuff, or maybe they do now because of the internet. I don't know that when we were growing up and there wasn't an internet, like how would we have known about the Reuben, or how would we have known about the Eisner?
Reading Hogan's Alley or something like that?
Yeah, or cartoonist profile, and you're like, it's a sentence that you glossed over, and you're like, well, I don't know what an Eisner is. La-da-da, go back to my day, that
exactly,
kind of
exactly.
You know what award I want the most? Only because it's the best design award out there is the Ink Pot Award.
Oh, that is a great award, yeah.
I don't even know what it's for, but
you know what? Wait, hold on. I told Brad this once, and I want to repeat it to Scott because I want to get his reaction. You know what award I want? I want one of the Angoulême awards because I told this to Brad once. If I can get the French to think that I'm a great cartoonist, then I will truly have succeeded. Like that will be the greatest mark of my career.
I agree. Also, this makes me think about this. What award don't you want? I can name it.
Really?
I know what it would be for me. Shall we all say it at the same time? All three of us?
Yeah.
All right. 1, 2, 3. SPX
Ignatz.
Awards. Yep. Okay.
That's right.
that fucking
Ignatz
brick
Award. The fucking brick.
I couldn't remember the name of it.
It's the Ignatz. Oh man, no one wants that piece of shit. Oh man.
Wait, what did Brad say? I heard Scott, but I did not hear Brad in the background.
I sandbagged both of you because I could see it in my mind and I couldn't make the word happen. But it was I was right there along with you. But I sandbagged.
Oh, did you say the Tony Award?
No, Dave said SPX. I said Ignatz, and Brad said my wife's approval.
Yeah, I gave up on that one a long time ago too.
All right, so we've put it off long enough. So, Scotty, what are the last goals you want in your career? Like 20 years from now, 30 years from now, what do you truly want that you haven't yet achieved?
I would like to create something that resonated with people that was timeless. That wasn't rooted in some bullshit pop culture.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very proud of Table Titans. I feel about Table Titans the way you feel about Drive. Like I love PvP, and it's given me so much, and I enjoy drawing it every day, even still 20 years later. But I'm really like Table Titans is the thing that I was hoping I was going to draw when I was in high school and college, like something really awesome. But still, it's still the D&D comic, right? Like it's still connected to another pop culture or nostalgia, and I just don't feel that it's timeless. It's never going to be Peanuts. It's never going to be Calvin and Hobbes. And maybe this is the same bullshit that Schultz suffered from, where he was like, I'll never be, what is it, Wyeth? I'll never be MC Wyeth, or whatever he used to say.
Yeah.
Right.
And everyone's like, who cares? You're Charles Schultz. What does it matter if you're not that painter? And actually, to call back to LA, Abraham Ben Ruby was telling me, like, God, 20 years, Scott. And I'm like, I don't like to think about it. And he's like, no, you did that. Own it. You own that. You've done that. And I'm like, yeah, but when you're dead and gone and people are thinking about your work, you know, that's going to be a big deal. I'm like, that's not going to happen. He's like, it is going to happen. It will happen. And I wish I believe that. I feel like I've yet to create anything that that hasn't much of a legacy, you know? I don't know.
Right. No, I completely get that. Like I haven't cracked it open in a while, but if you crack open Calvin and Hobbes, there's out of the however many thousands of strips in Calvin and Hobbes, there's maybe 5 that won't make sense 100 years from now.
Right.
And so I get what you're saying is that there's an aspect of all of our work that is too rooted in the time that it's from, where it's a little bit of a bummer as we get older, because we look back on it, we go, "Oh, that Scarecrow and Mrs. King joke ain't gonna age well," you know.
That's the thing, right? Like, look, I know that everything is going to age, and if you go back and look at Mutt and Jeff, it's like, you know, well, 6 horse heads to $1, and you're like, what? But there's a difference between watching something like Peanuts age and watching Bloom County age.
Yeah.
Like you go back and you read
Bloom County is the one that really gets me depressed, because Bloom County I was super, super enthralled with. And if you cannot go back and read those old ones without a decoder ring. You know?
Yeah, you're like, oh, I used to think he was so smart, but I think he just put Casper Weinberger's name in here because it was funny. So, and I wonder if you experience this with Drive, but with PvP, the audience is PvPonline.com. Didn't make me laugh. I'll see you tomorrow. Good luck, fucker. And with Table Titans, it's they log in, they read the thing, they go on Facebook, they talk about the strip and what rules, maybe D&D rules were in the strip that day, and then they're talking to their buddy. I remember with PvP, it's like, hey, my dad had a stroke and it killed my mom. The stroke was so bad she died, and my dog ran away, and PvP is going to be 10 minutes later. They're like, fuck you, you're a fucking asshole. And with Table Titan, it's like, I stubbed my toe, and they're like, take the week off. We're here for you.
But that might also be that you've cultivated better fans too, right? I mean, in terms of this life change, right?
Maybe.
Or do you think it's just that, because what I'm saying is, like, all these Table Titans fans kind of got in and started with you when you were at a better point in your own.
It's true, maybe. But I also think it's different consumable.
Yes. No, and I gotta say, coming from Drive, I 100% echo what you're saying, is that you get a different kind of long-term invested reader, you know.
So now my question to you is, what Scott said, do you have an overlap between Sheldon and Drive?
Yeah, but no. So I am not great at the metrics of that, but in my own kind of terrible personal, survey of my readership at Comic-Cons and stuff, there is definitely people that are like, oh, I didn't even know you were doing sci-fi, or, oh, what's this Sheldon thing that you have on the table, that kind of thing. Yeah. But there's also a lot of people like, I've been following you for 18 years, and oh man, I love Sheldon. When Drive came along, there's that too. So I have basically 3 slices of audience. One that just do Sheldon, one that just does Drive, and then I think the larger group is the crossover group. That's not a very satisfying answer, but that's the best I can do.
Yeah, I think we have a very, very small amount of crossover.
That's a very simple Venn diagram.
Yeah, it's hard to know for sure. All I know is that Sheldon has a far larger audience, but makes me less money. Drive has a far smaller audience, but makes me way more money. And I find that fascinating.
Yeah.
That the long-term commitment to a long-form story, those fans really will support. I don't know what to make of that. I guess the way to make of it is that easily consumable comics are also easily forgottenable comics.
Yes, yes, they're easier to discard.
And so it's like, I love that Sheldon, or I love that PvP, or I love that SMBC comic today, and bye, I'm out the door, going on to the next thing. That kind of thing.
Because all of the internet is like that now. Everything's Tumblr, and it's all 140 characters. It's all quick content. It's all interchangeable,
right?
And you're lucky if they slow down their scroll to read it. And then if they do, so much the better. And maybe you've got a chance at gaining a follower and maybe getting a Kickstarter pledge down the line. But basically, it's about slowing the scroll at this point.
Yeah.
Not even stopping. Forget about sending traffic to another place. It's all about just slowing the scroll.
It's about slowing the scroll. I get it, Brad. I hear you. I'm picking up what you're saying, Brad. Wink, wink.
Yeah, slow that scroll.
I'm also sending you both subliminal messages because we are at almost the hour mark.
Oh, geez, are we really?
Yes. So we should probably wrap this up and ask Scott, please, to come back again, because this has been an amazing show.
This is what happens when you don't do a podcast for 10 years.
Oh my gosh.
Together.
Well, there is another podcast that I want to make sure that I mention, and that's the one that I do along with Scott and the aforementioned Corey, called Surviving Creativity. And if you want to hear some more of Scott talking comics, that's a very good place to go. And there's lots of good stuff there.
And give the URL for that one, Brad.
That's another Patreon supported one. So the best place to go get it is patreon.com/surviving creativity.
I mean, I'm sure if you just type Surviving Creativity, God, let me say it slower. Surviving
Creativity. Is it Surviving Show? I don't remember. Maybe it's Surviving Show on
Facebook. On Twitter, it's @Surviving Show.
Oh, okay.
This is like a version of when someone at a party is like, so what do you do? I'm a cartoonist. Oh, what's your site? I don't remember at the moment. Just look Dave Kellett.
Exactly.
Just look for me.
Just put it in
You'll
Google,
find it.
Yeah, just Google Scott Kurtz and then run.
Well, Scotty, this has been awesome. Thank you for coming by the show, man. This is great.
Of course. Anytime.
And Brad, you want to take us out, my friend?
Yeah, I'll be the one who says you've been listening to Comic Lab, the show about making comics and making a living from comics.
First of all, your guest has been Scott Kurtz, creator of PvP, Table Titans, co-host of Surviving Creativity, and also of Scarecrow and Mrs. King fame. You may remember him on there.
That's true.
And your hosts have been Brad Geiger, the editor of Webcomics.com and cartoonist of Evil Inc. at evil-comic.com.
And Dave Kellett, co-director of Stripped and the cartoonist of Sheldon at sheldoncomics.com and Drive at drivecomic.com.
And the Comic Lab theme song is used with permission from... I always stumble over that. The Comic Lab theme song is used with permission from Andy Creighton at theworldrecord.net.
Comic Lab is made possible by your support on patreon.com/Comic Lab. So we'll go ahead and say that twice. Patreon.com/Comic Lab.